and Roxy.
Hopefully the sound is okay. We're on the Norwegian Cruise Line Epic, and we couldn't get you really good background video because it's really windy out there. Where are we today, Roxanne?
We are in port in Mykonos.
Mykonos, and it's been
Mykonos in Greece, which is on my bucket list. It's been on my bucket list for many years.
and it's been an awesome day. So hopefully, if you can't hear this, at least you'll be able to see that we tried, you guys.
Yep.
So cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
It's nice to see you guys. We've missed you on this trip.
It's been a little weird, and we're so excited to be here, and I really hope that this works.
I hope it works too. And you know, we'll check it and see. And if it doesn't work, we'll still put this up bad sound at all, and then we'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one. So we started off, I have a little clip, and hopefully you've seen it already, of us being unable to put up our tripod, which we've done, I don't know, a dozen times already.
And I promise you, we've only had one glass of wine today, but we had some very kind people who helped us, which is pretty awesome. But we didn't want to go because we've been gone for a couple of weeks, and we didn't want to go too long without checking in with everybody. So let's talk about what we're drinking.
Yes, and hopefully I'm not knocking my mic around all the time. So the first drink that we're having here is called a Croissant Mai
An
Tai.
Almond Croissant Mai Tai.
And it actually has almonds in it. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, so
It's pretty interesting. Let's taste it and see. Oh, it's pretty good.
It's like lemonade.
It is like lemonade. Yeah, powerful lemonade. But so let's talk a little. We're going to give you a quick update on our trip. We were in Rome for 5 days, 4 nights, and then we got on the ship, and we've been to.
We had one sea day.
Yeah, one sea day.
And then we were first in Santorini.
Yep, first in Santorini, which was, we'll talk about that a little bit. And then today was Mykonos, and tomorrow was Corfu.
And in between there, it was Santorini, Athens.
Oh, Athens! How could I forget Athens?
And then Mykonos, and
Yeah.
and then tomorrow's Corfu, right? And our so we started off. Rome was fantastic. Rome was
fabulous.
We posted pictures of Rome, the food. Yeah, whoever's guessing.
Oh, hang on. So this is the ship getting ready to leave. So you might hear some big sound. So it's like you're here with us. So they were calling for some passengers who might be a little late. But if you hear big sounds, that's the ship saying, hey, we're leaving Mykonos now. But yes, sorry, go on.
I don't know what I was saying.
So we started off in Rome, and we had a great food tour. Oh, yes.
So whoever's guessing pastries, keep guessing. The pictures are coming. We're not posting all the pictures all the time.
No, we're not posting pastry pictures until we actually get the guesses, and then we will show you a little video clip of Roxanne with the pastries.
I'm posting a few food pictures as we go. Yeah. I mean, the food in Rome was so amazing.
So good. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And we had the best Greek salad ever.
Oh, it was
on Santorini.
Yeah, it was fabulous. We've had such great food, and we've had beautiful weather, and it's been so much fun here. And really, I think so. Rome is Rome. I mean, my gosh, you have to love Rome, right? We had great food. We met some really interesting people that we hope maybe some will come on as guests on the podcast. We'll see. You know, they need to reach out to us. We've left it with them. But, you know, we did have a day where we were a little cruise cranky.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing when you guys have cruised a lot, you've vacationed a lot, more than we have, although we're getting there now, my husband and I. But when you have a thing that you're very excited to do, that you've been looking forward to, you've been saving up for it, you've been building up expectations for it, there is sometimes a sense of letdown when the reality occurs. And it has nothing to do with a bad experience. It's just simply expectations versus reality.
And human nature. I mean, even though we were pretty lucky and didn't get much jet lag, our flight was easy. It was good. Yeah. But you're still in it. Like we're 10 hours ahead of the west coast of Canada, and so you still have some layer of jet lag, right? Yeah, so you get a little cranky. You're out of your element. You know, you don't have control of everything. And, you know, so there was, I don't even know what day it was, but it was one day we were both like, and it was like, we have nothing to be cranky about. But you had to sit in it for a minute.
Yeah, you have to let yourself feel it. And I often think about it as like we had children easily. I don't know what infertility is like, but I have heard from women who have struggled, couples who have struggled to have children. And from what I understand, there can be a sense of, you want this thing so bad. This is the thing that you've wanted all your life. You've struggled for it. You've got it. Suddenly you have a baby, and then it's sleepless nights, and it's a shit machine. And you're like, I wanted this so bad, and now I feel guilty because I have it and I'm not
Because it's hard,
happy
it's
all
hard.
the time. Because nobody's 100% happy all the time, no matter if you get everything that you want out of life.
Yeah, but exactly. So we've been laughing about cruise cranky, but the other side is it is in perspective, right? You're cruise cranky, you go for a little walk, you maybe sit for a minute by yourself, because the other thing is we travel really well together, but no one is used to being around people this much all the time. So you find your ways.
Neither of us likes people that much anyway. We keep saying that, except we like you guys.
And you guys and each other. But it is.
And we actually like our husbands most of the time. Yeah.
But it's been really fun. We have met some fabulous people. We met lots of people in Rome. We had a fabulous guide in Santorini, which is an amazing place, I have to say. There was a little kerfuffle from the ship getting in, and you have to take a cable car up, and there are lineups, and you know it wasn't a good getting off the ship, getting back on the ship experience.
Logistics were a problem.
Yeah, but you know, the other thing is, it's good to know this. I didn't realize that the only way to get there from a cruise ship in that port was that you had to take the cable car, and you have to take a tender, which is a little boat. And so, you know, try to get 3,000 people off a ship at the same time, it's pretty hard, right?
Yeah. The lineup was pretty spectacular. There were thousands of people in the lineup, and the cable car took up 36 at a time.
Yeah.
36 at a time. So you do the math.
It was probably only 3 or 4 minutes in between, but it took a long time, right? So that was a little, but Santorini is fabulous. We loved it.
Oh my gosh. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it's the iconic shots, right? The white buildings, the blue dome, that kind of thing. And then today we're in Mykonos, and I think perhaps NCL decided to dock us rather than tender because people were a bit wrinkled about things, right?
We're laughing about it, but not everyone was laughing.
No, and you know, I could see it, especially if you're elderly, and or if you have, if we're wobbling, that's wind. But that's not us. Although it could be us. It has been us 1 or 2 nights, but you know, if somebody who has mobility issues, or you had little children, that would have been a real challenge, right? But then today we're in Mykonos, and they docked, so we could walk off.
Right off.
So it was fabulous.
It was fast. And we had less time, so that was good.
Yes.
We had several hours on Santorini, but about 3 of them were waiting in line.
Yeah.
This one, we only had 3 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours maybe.
4 hours, but we walked right off. Got back on
anywhere.
But a fabulous place. I really, really like Santorini. I think I like Mykonos better.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's kind of a funkier little place, but I also get what people say because the cruise ship's in town. It's a small place. It was crowded. I also get that people say you should go to these places, but there's all sorts of islands you can go to have maybe a different experience, right? A calmer maybe experience. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I would say go to them. They're amazing. The visuals lived up. The food certainly lived up. Yeah. Right?
And the people are lovely.
Oh, everybody's so friendly and helpful.
And I said this before because Greece has been on my bucket list since watching Shirley Valentine, watching Mamma Mia, reading. There's so many books and stories and movies that I've seen set here. I've wanted to go for years. But I've heard that Santorini and Mykonos are very busy. They're the touristy areas. And I'm like, we are tourists. Yeah. So don't go to the touristy areas. Yeah. If you're a tourist, you go to the touristy areas. And I think that some of us are going to want to come back. Yeah. So we have a sense now of where we are.
It's a taste test.
And what we're just a little more familiar now. So I would say probably I wouldn't stay on Santorini, but now at least I know how to find out about the islands, and I know that there's ferries and that there are airports and there's ways to get here. So we know that we love it here.
Yes, and there is I mean, Italy is a magnificent place, and I haven't been to many places in Greece. I think I've been to Crete and Athens before, but not too many places. And now
Corfu too?
I think we went to Crete instead of Corfu because there was civil unrest. But the culture of the Greek people is so welcoming and helpful and incredible, and it really is this attitude of you're here, you're a part of our family while you're here, and it's been really that's really
it's really moving.
But yes, but it is a really amazing thing. I would encourage anybody to do it, and also, you know, one of the things is we did a lot of research before, and Paul and I have traveled, especially cruises, extensively, and you know, there's still stuff we didn't know. You know, so the thing
There's
is,
always surprises.
and you have to be ready to be flexible and to go with the flow, and maybe to be cruise cranky or vacation cranky for a minute, and then find a way to let it go, whether that's a run on the beach, a glass of wine, a sit with a book.
Okay, I need to, talking about flexibility, I just need to talk about our lovely friend that we met at breakfast today. I'm just going to call him Beautiful Dmitri. I don't know what his name is, but honestly, we should have taken a picture.
We should have
of him.
taken. He was like,
Just a beautiful, beautiful man.
if you put the hero in a movie of like of a remade Shirley Valentine kind of like he
He
would,
would
and
be
he
the
had
one.
twinkly eyes, and he was
Dark,
happy to bring us
So
coffee.
tan, the bright blue eyes.
So
and
you know
just
my husband
always-
watches this,
I
right?
don't care. I don't care. Do not bring it up. Just beauty. I appreciate beauty. Listen,
He was a work of art. That's all I
He
can
was,
say.
and he was super kind and nice.
And nice and
he wore
twinkly.
this fantastic black linen outfit,
Oh.
like the flowy pants, and he carried it off. And I'm saying to my husband, "You should buy a linen shirt. You should buy a linen shirt." And he's like, "No, I don't want to iron anything." I'm like, no, you don't iron them. You just let them get all nice and flowy. So I'm working on him.
It's like
I'm working on him.
you're not getting it. Buy a linen shirt.
Buy a linen shirt, man.
But it
I
was
should just buy him a linen
you
shirt.
should just buy him a linen shirt. But it was, you know what? But the Greek people are so welcoming. And yesterday we did a Acropolis and culinary tour in Athens, and we had the lovely Danny, who was, and oh my goodness, so she.
And her name is something much more
complicated.
Danae.
Yes,
Then
Danae.
Danae.
Well,
Yeah,
she
her
said we
friends
could call
call
her
her
Danny.
Danny.
Yeah, and
Lovely.
oh my gosh, a historian, archaeologist, studied that kind of thing. She knew so much about history and about culture, and she shared so much with us. And we're hoping she might come on the podcast, but we'll see. We'll see. But it was an amazing day. We learned so much. And Roxanne ate a lot of pastries. So for anybody who's counting, Roxanne made
A lot
pastries.
of pages going on. But I put my jeans on to come down here, and so far so good. So,
Yes. So
you
we
know.
didn't say she was eating all the pastries.
Oh,
We said
no.
she was going
I'm
to
definitely
taste the
tasting them.
pastries.
Yes.
Right. So what was your favorite so far? Do you have a favorite?
Oh boy. Well, I always love spanakopita, the savory
Yeah.
spinach and cheese.
And we're calling those pastries, just like.
Oh, they're definitely pastries, yeah. But the one that is called, we'll have to look it up. It's got like phyllo pastry on the outside, but a custardy, creamy thing on
Right.
the inside. That's their breakfast pastry,
Right.
and
It was
wow,
fabulous.
Oh, it's just wonderful. And then of course baklava, which
Yeah.
is just always
Oh,
fantastic.
so good. I
we
mean,
had a couple of in Athens yesterday.
different ones.
We had a couple of different
Yeah.
ones. Yeah,
No, it was
the food
fabulous.
tour was awesome.
But you know, one of the things we often do when we travel is a food tour, because it's a cultural tour, right? It's how you get to know things, and people show themselves. They show their heart by what they cook.
Everybody eats, no matter
Yeah.
where you are in the world. They eat, and everybody has food that's what they share with friends and family when they get together. And when you're a tourist, and if you're in the right spot, they treat you like friends and
Yeah.
family. So they feed you, and then they tell you about their life, and that's
Yeah.
what we want to learn when
Yeah.
we go somewhere. It's like, how do you live?
Yeah.
And my husband's really good about that. When we're in a car, we have a driver. We had a lovely driver called Vaso
Yes.
in Santorini.
Yeah.
And he's asking them, where you live, how does your life work? What part of the island are you at? How do the tourists behave to you?
Right.
You know, what's
What's life like for you?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
rent, or what is
Yes.
what can people afford to buy a
Yeah.
house?
Yeah.
What do you do when you go out for
yeah.
things,
Where
right?
do you go?
Yeah,
And
it's
we
been
learned in Athens, they said that they have very small apartments, and they don't entertain there. They rarely cook, or at least Danny rarely cook. But they go out. Yeah, so they go to work, and then they come to the square or the
they go
pub.
have coffee, or they go have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
They go eat. And Danny was telling us that you go and you have a coffee, and for them, coffee is a 2-hour adventure with someone. You have a conversation. It's
They
not
don't grab their coffee to go,
no.
and they don't have big ones.
No.
They have little ones, and they sit there and they sip them.
Yeah,
and
and
they
they sip.
visit.
And they visit, and the purpose is visit. Not like it might be caffeine, because that's human nature.
Yeah.
But their purpose is to visit, right? It's a very social, community oriented culture, and it's honestly fabulous. That I know not everybody can travel, but if you can, and even if you can't, worth going on YouTube or looking at and just watching some documentaries, perhaps about Greece or Italy, and
Well, and read the novels that are set
Yes,
there,
yes.
and watch the movies that are set there, and we'll come up with a list too. Let me write that down so I don't forget.
Nope, absolutely. And really it comes from, we heard so much from the people we met that live here, like live in Italy or live in Greece, and we learned more about the history and the culture that we've read about and we've seen on documentaries and stuff. and they really brought it to life because they personalized it. And I think that's part of the thing that's really interesting for me is I can tell you what, you know, maybe National Geographic says or what I don't know what the New York Times says or what the Globe and Mail says, but then they say, but you know what it felt like for me?
Yeah.
And then they tell us. And it's really, really interesting. And I mean, I know for me, the reason I travel is to open my mind.
Yeah.
And also food.
And also wine.
Yes. Yes. And we've had some great wine. Right?
And you know what's interesting, and this is also what's good about traveling, is to make you appreciate what you already have.
Yes.
And we're having wonderful wine, wonderful. I mean, this is a really interesting drink. I've never heard of that one before. But we also appreciate how fortunate we are in British Columbia to have
such great wine, right?
So it's kind of neat to see that and say, hey, we can compete. You know?
No, absolutely.
Even little BC.
Yeah. But and the flip side to that is, it's also as a Canadian, it makes me even prouder. I'm a proud Canadian, but it makes me even prouder when you come because Canadians are welcomed with open arms. You know, we tend to be inclusive. We tend to be courteous. We tend to tip. Yes, that's a good one. But we also like ask about, like, it's not all about us, right? Because the purpose of travel is not about you. It's about where you're traveling and the people there. Yeah. And so when people learn that we're Canadian, it's pretty amazing, right? It really is wobbling, and that's not the ship or us. I promise. Oh goodness, I do promise.
I had so much junk in my eyes.
Oh yeah, oh my God, especially like at the
the Coliseum.
The Coliseum.
There's the Coliseum and the crypts. Okay.
Yes. I didn't go because
first of all, what you did.
I got a new tattoo. Yeah. I don't know if you, I'll take a picture of it. It's hard to show you guys. Beautiful. It's a hummingbird.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Today's the day when it's all a little scratchy because it's settling in.
So when we were in Rome, Paul took us, because he's such a great tour guide and he loves what he does and he's knowledgeable and he's trained. So Paul knows what he's doing. So for me and Ray, fantastic.
Right. And he's not a real tour guide.
He's not a real tour guide.
But he was a tour guide in his past life.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So he's good at that. So we went into, it wasn't part of the Vatican Museum.
No, it's like the capuchin monkey.
Yeah,
and capuchin. Oh, sorry, capuchin. Capuchin is a spice or something, right? Something like that. Oh, that's capuchin. Never mind. Don't anybody listen to me.
We learned about the capuchin monks. We learned a fair bit about the.
I think I said capuchin monkeys, and I didn't mean to because I think there is a
capuchin monkey. That's what we learned. So the capuchin monks visited the Amazon rainforest, and they saw these little monkeys that had a similar coloring to the habit that the monks wore, which is brown like this with a white hood. And they saw them and they're like, ooh, little capuchins. And so cappuccino is coffee with a white hood on top. Cappuccino. So that's where the things we learned. Yeah. So we saw the that museum, and then we went down into the crypts where they bury, I don't know, I can't remember. So I went down, immediately had a coughing fit, just about died. Everyone around there is like, oh God, stay away from her. That doesn't sound good. I'm like, well, you know what? We're surrounded by crypts here. Just shove me in and back away.
We're all good.
Yep. But it was really dusty down there. It's all from I just caught something in my throat, but it's all lava. Yep. So when they buried these bones, there's no rodents, there's no bugs, nothing. They just almost they disappeared, and then people would come and they'd move the bones elsewhere if they needed to. So it was a really, really interesting tour. And the museum before, there were no bones in the actual crypts that we saw, but you're going down.
And I didn't go because that was when you went to the Vatican. But no, that was because I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah, but that was your tattoo day.
I thought you went to the Vatican on tattoo day.
I think we did both.
Oh, okay, but it is. I mean, I'm claustrophobic, so I wasn't going under anywhere.
No.
But it was definitely. It was definitely one of the things that, like, when they came out, they were telling me, and it's like, that's really, but you know, we had been here before, and I know because I think I tried to do it maybe in Paris with when you could go underground and see things, and it felt terrible to me, so I didn't go. And so it's good to know those things when you research it, right?
Yeah.
Also, I want you to tell me.
I like caves. I don't really have claustrophobia, and I like caves fascinate me. And we are doing something else.
Yes.
Or we're doing another cave one. Yeah, that's right.
I think in Malta, but I'm just going to go have a coffee or a glass of wine and wait on them.
Yeah. We did when my husband and I were in New Zealand, we went underground to see the glowworms and the glowworm
Yeah,
caves in
that's
the
cool.
Rotorua
No,
area.
I've done that, but it's a bigger cave.
It's a bigger
Right?
cave, very different.
It's
So
like a
this-
cavern.
and it's completely different geology, right?
Yeah.
Because those in New Zealand, those caves are they're created by running water,
Yeah.
whereas this is lava rock that has been dug out.
Yeah.
So these crypts are all human made
Small
and teeny tiny staircases that
Yeah.
are like straight down.
Yeah.
Very a little treacherous. For sure, you have to be physically agile to, or at least normal mobility to get down there. But it's so interesting.
So cool.
But in the museum, before we went down into the crypts, the museum was filled with human bones, decorated. So they had somebody and they had a name
it's good
for
with
too.
bones.
And they could take like femurs and create an arch of all the femurs. And these are all pelvises, and we're gonna like make these pelvises into an arrangement. It was macabre, but fascinating at the same time. Yeah, really.
No, very
interesting.
cool. And what did you learn about pine trees, Roxanne?
Oh my goodness! So I'm
moving on to Rosé.
The flora and the fauna for me is just always fascinating. So as we're driving into Rome, I'm looking at the trees, going, "Oh, look at those trees! What are those trees? They look like pine trees." And we're in British Columbia, where we're surrounded by evergreen forest everywhere. I'm like, these look like pine trees, but nothing like I've seen. So I asked one of our guides at one point, and we learned that they're called parasol pines because that's what they look like. They're a stem, and they limb them up so they're tidy and not dangerous. But they don't groom them at all. But the top part of them is all, it's like a parasol, it's like an umbrella. And the cones contain pignons, pine nuts, that they use for the pesto. Yeah. So Italian pesto comes from these parasol pines. It's very cool. I'm like, best thing I learned all day, right? And then since then I've learned other things. But that was like,
it's really
like
cool.
a click moment for me. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about cruising, because not everybody wants to cruise. The music's getting a bit loud, so I hope you guys can hear us. But let's talk about what you like best about cruising, and then we'll talk about what maybe the challenges.
Yeah.
So what did you like best? What do you like best?
So everyone talks about unpack once, and I do love that part. I don't like to lug around suitcases from place to place. For me, the transition of packing up, unpacking, packing up, unpacking, that's stressful. I don't like that. Plus, I want to bring all the clothes and all the shoes.
Yeah.
So
also all the clothes we bought in Rome. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We'll put a link to the store if we can. We have the name of the store. I tried to find their website, but we'll put a link. But
I knew that I would be buying things, but honestly, I wasn't expecting that I might have to buy a suitcase.
It's okay. I brought extra. Those bags you fold up.
I'm a newbie.
Yeah,
but you came prepared. So I like that part.
Yeah, you like that
I
part.
like the and this is a plus or a minus for people because the cruise ship itself feels like a hotel. It feels like a Vegas hotel.
Yeah.
It's there's a casino because we like to gamble, and this one is not really crowded.
No, it's pretty good.
I think capacity is 4,000, and they said they were at 3,300.
I think this is a bit of a different
departure
audience, kind of, because they've come to Europe to see the Greek islands. I think it's a wee bit different than if you took a Mexican cruise or Caribbean cruise, where it's a little bit more party-like.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this is a little bit. It's a bit different. It's not very. I mean, it was crowded last night a bit. Yeah, but I also think people were frustrated because of what happened with the port and stuff. So I think people were having a couple of drinks and winding down, and so there's a casino, and there's the restaurants are great. The restaurants are really good. Yeah. And there are places we wanted to be outside to do this, so we found a place out here. It's a little noisier, but there are many places where if we just want to go and sit and play cards, if we had a moment that wasn't busy, because we've been pretty busy so far. Well, and this itinerary is, we had one sea day, and it's an 11-day cruise. We had one sea day, and all the rest are ports. So we're getting off each time. But that's just it, and it's busy days because you want to see everything, you know. And so there's lots going on, but the restaurants are lovely. The accommodation is lovely. It's comfortable, rooms are really nice, right? There's all sorts of entertainment, as you can probably hear, right? There's pools, and it's a bit different. Like, it is a little bit different, but the other side is you can find a little space to be to not engage, or you can be in the middle of it all. If you're looking for company. Yeah. So I like that part. I honestly, part of it is I like the amount of activity. Oh my goodness.
we're on floor 10. So to get off, we go down to everything's flying.
It's quite windy.
Go down to 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
And then right now we're on floor 15. So we are up and down stairs.
Yeah. So we don't take elevators unless we have to.
I brought my Fitbit just so that we can keep track of steps, and 10,000 steps is no problem.
Yeah.
Which is good because, you know, we're eating pretty much.
Some of us are eating a lot of pastry.
Some of us are eating a lot of pastry.
But that's just it. But you can also, like, honestly, 99% of the people that you meet, whether they're staff and crew here, or they're their staff and crew, or their passengers, are really lovely, and you have conversations. And it doesn't mean you have everything in common, but for a moment you're connected, right? And it's a really nice thing. It's and you know, in this day and age, the more we can connect, the better off we'll be. Right? It really is. And obviously, as much as we all know I have a big mouth, you don't get into that here. But you do have conversations. Oh, look at us! But you do have conversations about what matters to you. Like we met 2 lovely people from New Zealand coming back.
Just in the lineup.
And they're lovely and funny, and we all love New Zealand. I mean, my gosh, right? But it was just nice to connect and talk about New Zealand for a minute.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, we all have things in common. So as soon as you engage a little bit and you look for that, even when we don't share the language completely, you know. And so we're like, Greek is hard. That's hard.
Oh my gosh.
I did not. Usually, I try to learn a little bit about something, how to speak. I didn't have time for this trip, and I also knew that there was no way I was going to learn Greek. I could learn a little bit of Italian, which was basically, you know, please, thank you, and bathrooms.
Yes.
And wine. And what was the way to say cheers in
Salute.
Greece?
In
Italy,
Rome.
it's salute.
Yeah, salute. And then
And in
here,
Greece, it's
we'll have to find it.
Yarrow?
Yarrow. It was something like Yarrow, because I live in a model house called the Yarrow.
Something like that, yeah. So we have to reinforce that a little bit.
But people are so patient with you when you ask too. Like the other thing is when you try.
When you're interested in their culture and you make any kind of an effort, they appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what we're here for, you know.
No, and
but that's
just
the
it.
connection that we're talking about.
And you know, so one of the things we do when we travel is we bring little bottles of maple syrup and little bottles or little packages of Vancouver Island sea salt. And so yeah, but we do. It's us. But it's us now, right? Because you get it, and it's really amazing. So you because Canadian culture, you tip. So we always tip because we also know it's not easy to be a server to tourists, right? But we tip, but we also do this because it gives you a little connection, right? And honestly, the surprise and the gratitude when you do this, like people almost cry, right? But it's a wee bit of a little bit of Canada that we get to give to them. And it really opens the doors to like this connection of, even if it's just for that moment, it puts gratitude out into the world, right? It puts something positive. And you know, we all know that I have a big mouth and I don't really loud now. People might have had 1 or more drinks. But you know, one of the things here is we met a lovely couple from Florida. I expect we have very different politics, but you know what? For a moment, we found common ground. And I think as much as if they said something, I would not back down. We didn't talk about it, and I think we need to find common ground.
Yeah. That's the thing. We have to look for the commonalities and look for ways that we can see each other as people rather than as opinions that we disagree with.
And the only way we're going to get through the challenges we're in right now is to see each other as people and understand where someone's coming from. And you know, this is a turn for me because I was like, you like over there? Stay over there. Yeah. And you know, for me, because I was really angry about some of the things, but what I realized is somebody has to be the grown up and make the first move. And as hard as that is, like it is really hard, but it doesn't. The first thing you have to say, you don't have to say is, what do you believe?
Right, exactly. And I mean, boundaries the concept of boundaries has been a real lifelong learning for me, but I only really started.
Okay, now somebody's doing something. Maybe they will stop. But
I only really started making sense of that idea in the last five years, really. And so, you know, that's like 20 years of not understanding boundaries.
9.
We can't
She's
do that
13.
That's right.
But it is. It's
But it's that you can disagree and
Yes.
say, I don't need to go where you are, but I will not allow you, whatever it is that we disagree with about is fine. You stay there. We can still respect each other. This is how far you may go with me and no farther.
Or with any other disenfranchised human. Like
Yes.
like it's okay to stand in and line up for a tender or the I want to call it a funicular, but the cable car, and have a conversation about
What do you
oh,
want to
did
call
you
it?
a funicular? I think that's a Spanish
Yeah,
thing.
write that down.
Yeah, but it's okay to do that. Now, had they said something, I would have been all over them with facts about things, especially about politics, right? However, you know what? Maybe if we could find common ground, we could sit down and say, why do you believe this and why do you believe this, and we can figure it out, right? So there are ways to break
Especially
in.
if we share food and wine.
But that's just it.
Especially
And this is a turn for me because somebody has to make an effort because we are getting so far divided, and travel makes me realize that as much as I will not tolerate behavior that others somebody or that dismisses somebody, I would step in then. But you know what? That does you don't have to go into it looking for battle. If you find a wee bit of common ground, maybe you could make some progress. Right?
That takes a great deal of confidence, self-assurance, and peace within yourself. And I think that's where, for me, I am just getting to a place where I have enough peace within myself where I can be with people who don't believe as I believe and allow them to have that.
Right.
While you can be here and believe your thing, and I can be here and believe my thing, and it doesn't matter that we don't agree. We can set that aside and find the things that we do agree on. But when you are feeling the need to defend your position constantly, you can't do that. And so how do we get to a place where we feel that we don't have to defend? We don't have to be defensive. We can let our guard down. I think for me, that's the challenge. Can I let my guard down? And because I'm not worried, I'm not concerned
You're
that
not
I'm going to be
you're not
attacked
defensive,
or
but,
yeah.
But, and I get that, and I especially get it for those of us who look like this.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like, and I think that's just it. I am happy to sit down and have all sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
But if somebody makes a comment about another's culture, skin, religion, then it's like, nope. Like I'll talk to you about cooking. I'll talk to you about this, but you do not get to do this. You do not get to disenfranchise another human being. And I guess that's where it is. But my challenge was, what's the right way to say this? I see the extreme. If somebody says something, and perhaps they're just misspeaking, or perhaps they're saying it out of fear, instead of probing, I'm like, right. And you also can't do that because nobody responds.
No.
Nobody learns or engages or maybe shifts a position if you're attacking them.
That makes them put their defense.
But that's just it, right?
So you're
even though even if they're othering, you have to stop and say, wait, why do you feel this way?
Right.
Is
that really what
is
you
that
mean?
what you meant?
And tell me more. So there's this fantastic quote. Okay, how many of you are Ted Lasso fans? Come on. We watch Ted Lasso, and there's this fantastic meme going on there where Ted talks about it's the dart game with Rupert, right? Where he creams Rupert's ass at darts because Rupert underestimated him. And he says, you know what? If you had asked me, if you had expressed any curiosity about my life, you would have learned that I played darts with my dad all the time. And of course I'm going to beat you. But there was never any question about that. So they made assumptions about it. So we all do that. We make assumptions
and
about
that's
people.
A good lesson from Ted Lasso, right?
Full of lessons, that show. Love it.
And it is. And I think that's just it. And the thing is,
Be curious.
Well, be curious is better, and be courteous and respectful until you're given a reason not to. I've had to rein myself in a bit because if someone says they're from a certain state or they're a certain right, I immediately get my back up because I follow politics and I know that's mostly a state that right and so. But I have to have more grace because not everybody thinks that way, and perhaps they're not knowledgeable. Like I have to, and not to say that you don't. There is always a point when it's like that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. That's so many sounds, but that's enough. That's. But what you learn from travel is we are more like we have more in common, right? Because we're different. We're different.
Oh yeah.
And yet we have so many things in common, right? And that's what you learn from travel. And I hope the people that are traveling are taking in the differences and seeing it, because we can all learn life lessons. And we can't prejudge someone because honestly, it's a little bit of, I'm prejudging them because of where they're from.
Right. And the thing is, when you're always swimming in a certain pond, that's the only pond that you know.
Yes.
You believe that it's the only way the world runs. And so when you travel, you suddenly discover, oh, actually, there are people that think differently. They believe differently. They live differently. They have different goals, aspirations. And yet, they still want to be happy, to see their children grow up, to have a good life, to know that they'll be okay in old age. To connect. Exactly.
To have somebody consider them.
Yeah.
Right? And there's just so much, and that's exactly, and I think it has nothing to do with the color of their skin or their religion or anything that is honestly, I don't want to say superficial, but is individual to them that might be different for you, right? I have had great conversations. I have my really good friend Tammy, who is very involved in the church, and I am not. Tammy and I don't see. We have nothing in common when it comes to that, except, we have great conversations because she teaches me about why she believes, right? And I can say to her, this is why I question. And so we have found something that honestly, she and I really shouldn't be friends given my strong beliefs about the patriarchy and religion, yet for her it works.
Yeah.
Right, and so when we find those things, and honestly, travel does that, and also travel gives you coffee with handsome young Greek men. But
Beautiful
it is
Dmitri, we love you.
Yes, and we were like, we should have got a picture. We should have done this, and then I realized we had brought home some spanakopita, right? And it was like, oh, the cafe's name is on the package, so we're gonna tag them, and so hopefully he responds. We can have him as a guest.
Oh.
I'm sure our husbands would love that.
Okay.
But that's like our Danny yesterday, a lovely, incredibly knowledgeable woman. But my husband Paul was talking, and he's like, it's interesting. He said Greek culture is different. Canadians are like, oh, that's what you think. And Danny, he would say something, and she was like, why would you think that? And she was not being rude. She was being
Just
Greek.
outspoken. Yes.
Right? Like it was. But you can do that. But honestly, if somebody from like Alabama said to me, why would you think that? It would be like, we got nothing in common, man.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do is remove that layer of for me, what I've learned is to remove the layer of my own bias. Right?
It's an ongoing learning.
Yeah. I'm for sure a work in progress, but it kind of made me say that, because
once your eyes are open, they can't be shut again. And once you start to see these things around you, you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you realize how much you don't know and how much you have to keep learning and trying to learn. So
but it is also like, we all know that I have opinions, but the thing is, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I have really friggin' firm feelings about certain things. But the other side is, that's what talking to people does for you, is it opens it up, right? Right? Okay, let's go back to the fun part of travel. Okay, so let me think. What do I like about cruise ships? So one of the things I really like, as you're pulling into the port, and then we both get a balcony, because we're privileged enough to be able to, but also because for me, that's part of the experience. But like pulling in this morning to Mykonos, had the door open, the ocean breeze was coming in, all of that. And it's like these little moments where it's like, you would certainly get it if you went somewhere, but then I have to lug my suitcase and do all the things, right? But there are these little moments, right?
Well, and the thing so here's another thing about cruising specifically, is that you see a part of wherever it is that you're going from a perspective that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Right.
So we're pulling into Santorini, and I have photos that I'll share with you. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's a giant rock. It's a giant rock. And way at the very top, you can see all of these white, and yet there's like, I don't know, it looked from the distance, it looked like miles of rock down below.
Oh my God, it looked like Cinderella or Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, yes, exactly.
Way up there.
And that's, of course, what the cable car is for. But I had no idea. My husband and I were saying, we thought that all of the little little step down white and blue dome thing.
They were just
We
at
thought
sea
they went
level.
right down to the beach, like all the way down. Nope, that's not. But you would never see that if you flew in, because you wouldn't get that perspective. So it's just kind of neat.
It is, and there is something to be said about the magic. Although I think we've actually moved now, but like the magic of when you set sail, like out of New York, you can go to the Bahamas and stuff like that. And the thing is, going by the Statue of Liberty, like that, like there's things, and there's an East Coast, and I know, cruising isn't for everybody, but it's also for more people than realizing, because lots of people are like, cruising, I do the local thing, and it's like, yeah, no, you don't, you're a tourist. It doesn't matter where you are. This gives you a taste test, and also at night it's fun to come home and debrief and talk and have a drink and talk about things, and then go for dinner, and you can dress up or not, and you can be fancy or not, and go to the casino, go to shows, which maybe we need to do at least one night.
I've never done it, and it's fun. I mean, we really enjoy the casino. Unfortunately, she's enjoying it a lot more this time.
Well, I won.
She's having
That's why I won a bit, but
no, not so much.
But her husband won last. He doesn't like slot machines, and he sat with us for like 5 minutes, and he won like $200, $300. I thought it was 300, but he said 200. I think he said 200, so you didn't get the other 100.
I know.
But it's like, that's fun, but we're also we can gamble and walk away when it hurts. Right? But the other side of that is, I think we should try a show, because you haven't. And some of the shows so we go to Norwegian because when we first started to cruise, they still have great itineraries, and you get like usually an extra port or two, but also then they treat you really well because you've been on their cruises before, right? Loyalty.
They do a good job with loyalty points.
Yes, they do a very good job.
This is our second cruise, right? Yeah. So, and because I like to play slot machines too, and my husband plays poker and blackjack, so they like people who gamble, and we consider. I mean, we've been to Vegas several times.
That's entertainment money.
It's entertainment money. That's how. I don't think of it as like, oh, I'm going to lose money or gain. No. You would spend a certain amount on entertainment, period.
Yeah.
So just say, that's what it is. I'm going to spend it. If I come home with some of it, bonus.
Then we can buy more linen clothing.
That's right. But if not, no stress about it. It's just
it's entertainment.
You can't freak out. And we were just saying how we're not going to gamble on the last day.
Yeah, because it's a sad day.
And that's when there's a sense of desperation. And I know that. I've been to Vegas enough times going like, oh, I gotta, and then you're like, oh great, now I lost more money.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, you have to be responsible. But the fortunate thing is, we're responsible. For us, it's a here's what I can do, right? And you do it. And the thing was not encouraging anybody to gamble, but it is for us. It's a fun thing to do. And honestly, sometimes just sitting there watching the slot machine go around is like a little, as long as you're not losing, right?
Right.
When you're losing, it sucks, right? But or especially when we're together, because if the other person's winning, you're like, yay, right?
And there's known studies about what those sounds do
for
us.
Sure. The psychology of it.
Oh yeah. We know we're being manipulated.
Oh yeah.
We don't know to the extent that we're being manipulated, but also we know that we're being manipulated.
But
we're like, here's our money. We understand it. Welcome.
But it's not that much different than any time before Jimmy Buffett died. Anytime you'd be somewhere where there was a Margaritaville cafe, like a restaurant, you would go there. And parent heads used to joke that it was like, oh well, there's a Margaritaville restaurant here. I'm going to drop by and give Jimmy some of my money, right? Because you're giving them your money, right? Because honestly, if you think you're going to win at gambling, you're fat poop crazy. Right, but the other thing is, you're going to do it, but it's like playing. It's like why we like Supernatural too.
Totally.
Okay, let's talk about the cruise ships or the stairs.
Oh, the
and
stairs.
Supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
We have to coach Juana and Leanne and Mark and all and Doc and
we want them to be like, way to go, guys, because we're not doing Supernatural while we're here,
because we can't.
Holy cow! So Ray was measuring his heart rate after doing 10 flights of stairs.
Her stinking husband is like, he jokes he's an elite athlete. He jokes about it.
And he plays tennis and he plays golf. Now that he's retired,
he's pretty fit.
3 times a week, and he plays tennis twice a week.
But he like sprints up the stinking stairs.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing this. Oh, you slackers down there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. He's a cheeky monkey.
We're so grateful for all the Supernatural coaches who got us in shape enough that we can do this.
And we do this like we do.
And we're not doing we haven't done a single elevator.
I did one because I had
You're out of the
I
club.
was early. I had 2 coffees and a plate of food for my husband, and it was like, okay, so. Oh wait,
Well, that's a reason to take an elevation.
yeah. But also what we learned from Danny was, because I tend to spill. She said in Greece, spilling your food is actually a compliment to the chef. So I'm there. Okay. Also, look at my pretty necklace.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that Roxanne kind of made me buy.
We're in the store, and she's standing by that.
Here, look at us. See, we share everything with you guys.
We're standing there, and she's looking at that, and
I love
and then she walks away, and I said, "Oh, that's beautiful. Go back and look at that again." It matches your top. What's wrong with you?
My
Glasses.
And it's sea glass.
And it was not expensive.
Also, but the funniest thing that happened is her husband Ray, who's like the brother I never wanted, but love anyway. But then he went down to the sea and he got me like a piece of glass, and he's like, "Here, add this to your necklace," because he's a cheeky monkey.
He's a cheeky monkey, all right.
But yes, look at we're 45 minutes already.
Oh my goodness.
See, it goes fast.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about cruising. So let's talk about what are the downsides, do you think?
The downsides to cruising, the crowds. Yeah, so I'm not a big. So we did meet the people that we were talking to in line who were from Florida.
Oh yes, when we were in Santorini.
We were in line up. So we talked to them for an hour or so because we're in line.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Like today, I have to give the contrast though. So Santorini, 2 days ago, it took us forever. Today, coming back, we were going to take a cab because it's just easier. But then we were in like for the ship shuttle from Mykonos. 20 minutes. It was nothing, right?
But we're talking with this lovely couple, and she works for Disney. And her name was Juanita.
Oh, Juanita, that's right.
And his name was Greg, just Greg.
Just Greg. And he has no middle name.
No middle name, so he's just Greg.
The things you learn about people.
You guys, if you're out there, we hope to meet up with you.
Yes.
But they were just lovely. And she was telling us about, because
she works for
Disney World. And so we were remembering, my husband and I, when we took our kids to Disney World, and we went 3 months after 9/11, if you remember that. So it was already booked, but Disney World was empty because we don't love crowds. So for us and our 3 kids, we could just walk onto any of the rides. A lot of them are closed because no people. Yeah. But for the ones for us, it was perfect because the level of crowds was lower. So that's one thing I would say about cruise ships is you are often in a crowd. So on the ship itself, on the ship itself, it's not been bad. So like for the restaurants, for the casinos are always busy. If you want, and my husband misses this, he's like, I want to go to a beach and lie on a chair and not feel rushed or crowded. You don't get that sense on a cruise ship so much. So you have to look at it as a different travel experience.
As much as it can be relaxing, it's busier.
It's busier. And I think of it as we sort of, like when we were in the building, I'm still in the building part of my career, but when he was in the building stage of his career, he's worked so hard all the time. So when we went on a vacation, it was, I want to lie there, decompress for 2 weeks and not do anything. That was a vacation. And we don't need that now because, as I said, he plays golf 3 times a week and tennis 2 times a week, and he's mostly retired now. Yeah. So he doesn't need that. But he still is looking for that really relaxing thing. Whereas I'm a bit more. I want a bit more adventure now. We can engagement. Engagement. I want to learn things. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, the cruise experience definitely more active, more engaging.
More people, as you can see, by people. It's not at all crowded in this area. No. But I have to say for Paul and I, because I'm an introvert, and for Paul and I, cruises work because he's quite social. So he could go down if we were on a cruise, especially a cruise to Mexico.
He talks to anyone.
Oh,
he talks to anyone.
Okay, Jimmy, his dad. I keep seeing Jimmy and Paul. It's so fun. Although Ray does too, right? But the other side is, so for us it worked because I could go sit on the balcony, read a book, or I could go do the things, or I could write. And for him, he's like, so Paul, I could go sit on a beach. Yeah, Paul can't because after 2 days. Oh no,
really?
Oh, it's like,
wow. Oh, that's so interesting.
You should ask him tonight because it's
so
very interesting, right?
I can do that. I can sit on a beach.
I only have and then I want to take a tour. I appreciate the time, But if it's more than like you have this much time, it's like all the demons come to play then, right?
I will walk. Like when our kids were small, we took them to Tofino, Long Beach, on the Vancouver Island in British Columbia, and you can walk literally for hours there on the beach, back
Right.
a long ways, and then back, and you've got the ocean behind you. It's very, very different vacation, very soothing, very. And we would go to a place that had no phone, no TV, no radio. Not great showers, but
Yeah.
not great. It was a bit more rustic, right? But it was for us to reconnect as a family, as a
Right.
couple, individually
Right.
with the kids, and we just spent a lot of time doing that. For us at that stage in our life, it was exactly what we needed. So that it's a different vacation, though.
Right.
So,
No, it is, and this is a busier one. Like we went to Mexico last year, your first cruise, and that was a bit where we got off, we wandered around. I think we took a couple of tours, right? Where, like I think but
we got cabs into the
yeah, it was
cities,
a bit different.
and we'd been to Mexico before, so for us it wasn't. We didn't have a real need
Yeah,
necessarily
to do the big
to do
things.
all the
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
But it's interesting because there's a relaxing vacation and then there's an activity vacation in
Yes.
my mind, and this
I
is
think of them as-
activity.
exactly, activity, adventure.
Yeah,
That's one kind, and then there's the restful kind, and
yeah.
a balance between the two
And
is
you
good.
could. So what I have to say is, you could do that in Greece,
Yep.
on one of the islands, because you would get both, right?
Yes, yes.
Because I would like to walk down to the local beach and hang around and pick seashells or whatever you do there, maybe sea glass, and then go to the little pub there. Now after a week they know your name,
That's right.
right? You know what I
that's
mean,
right.
like that kind of thing. But I think for me, cruising is you unpack, which honestly is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Anytime I don't have to cook and do the things, it's a good thing.
Even though you love cooking,
I do love cooking,
it's
but
nice
you know
to
it's
have a
nice
break from it, right?
and especially like some of the Greek food. And Roxanne bought this really great Greek cookbook that we're going to
Oh
make
my
things,
gosh,
right?
it's
We went to this
beautiful.
olive oil place that we will put in the link because they ship. But holy doodle, was that an interesting place, right?
We have 50 pounds each in luggage, and what do? I buy a 3-pound cookbook to bring home because it's beautiful.
I'm telling you, I
And
brought
don't
one
know
of
that I
those
can get
little
it on
folds up.
Amazon.
I know, well, that's just it. But I got that's like I brought an extra suitcase because the last time we were here, it was the stuff that's heavier, right? The honey,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's all these things, and it's like as much as you get it at home, it's not the same,
It's not the same.
right?
Yeah.
But it is, and that's what for me, that you get off and you get to see highlights and you get to do this, and you get to go for lovely dinners, and Norwegian has a really good, like you get a drink package. We always get the internet because we have work, but you can get something to eat at any
And the
time.
free, I will say that too, that there is a free internet that you can get with a cruise ship.
Oh, that sucks.
It don't even bother. We 2 days, I think by the second day, we're like, no, we're just paying
We're
up.
gonna buy
We're just
like
paying up.
and that's if you need to be connected, because you can at every port you can get Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to do that. But what are the other tips? I would say really check out what you're really getting. So Paul and I early on when we cruised, we've done an inside cabin, and I'm claustrophobic, and it wasn't so bad. Honestly,
Really?
it wasn't. I hope
No window.
no window, but you know what? It feels big enough. You are only in there to sleep. It really didn't feel that bad, but I've also done an inside room where you have like just a window, not an inside a porthole. I don't know what they even call them, but then I prefer a balcony.
Yeah.
But we're at a stage in our lives where we can do the balcony. But early on, it was like this is reasonable, and we could go.
And it's still a comfortable room.
Oh, it's comfortable. It's just you're just it's like being in a bunkhouse kind of, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's always like what I think I said about Africa. Like if you go on safari, the luxury safaris are fabulous, but you know what? Just freaking go. Like it doesn't matter because you still get this great experience. And here, like we met lots of people that are like, oh, we're never in the room, so it's just somewhere to sleep.
I will say, here's another thing that I love about so far. We've been Athens, Santorini, and Mykonos now. Cats.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, there's cats. I don't remember in Athens so much.
Oh, it's
not.
a busy city.
Yeah,
But we
it's a
did
busy
see a
city.
couple.
Did we? Okay. But on Mykonos and Santorini, oh my gosh, there's cats everywhere. And we don't have a cat now, but oh, I love them. I miss them. And they're happy cats.
And they're fat.
They are
They're healthy little things.
Yeah, and they may not be owned per se, but people.
What she was telling us, right?
Yeah.
So here, I mean, in the cities more and stuff, and in the rural countries, they have animals that are in their house, but quite often there are animals out. They're like street cats or they're street dogs, but they are cared for. But they have a place to go, and they're well cared for. And we saw one today. We were sitting in a restaurant, and we watched this cat jump up. And we're at a restaurant. We'll put up photos, but there was a restaurant by the beach, and this cat jumped up, and it wasn't at our table, so I was kind of sad. But it was over, and it just went up and plopped itself down on this guy's lap. And thank goodness he was a cat lover, because if you weren't, you would be free. But it was just like, hi, love me.
The cats are happy. They're not stressed. I mean, probably if they are stressed, they don't hang out where the people are. But we're seeing cats all over the place. They're just like relaxing in the sun, and then people come up and pet them, and they're just like, hello, love me.
Yeah,
it was really lovely, really lovely. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Hawaii. Hawaii actually has a problem with cats,
right?
But, so I wonder. So there's a question that I'll be asking. I don't know where I can find that out, but what spay neuter programs do they have?
So we had, remember, Danny told us yesterday. At some point, they had a lot of. I forget whether it was dogs or cats.
Oh,
but she said they used to have, and she said now they don't have so many stray dogs because they did that, which is a big deal. But we can. We're connected with her. We'll ask her.
We will, because what we weren't seeing was kittens. We didn't see young cats. So there's a bit of seasonality to that. So maybe we're in the wrong time, but still.
Right.
You'd expect none of them were young. They weren't young cats.
But I think they have like there's lots of things that countries that we might look and go, oh, you don't do this well, but they do other things well. Like the thing is, all of us have our strengths, right? And I think that's just it. But it is. But the cats were really cool. And honestly, Roxanne, I might have 500 pictures of Roxanne with cats, right? Because every time, at one point, I was like, where's Roxy? And it was like, Paul was like, there's a cat back there. I was like, I know where she is.
I have a healthy respect for cats and their boundaries. And some cats are like, I mean, if they don't want you there, they will let you know and you will walk away bloody. So I'm very aware of that. But these are happy.
Oh, they're happy. And you know what? I think they grew up in a tourist spot, right? So they're used to people petting them. And honestly, I have also seen incredibly respectful behavior from the tourists.
Yes.
I never, like, cause some countries somewhere and you see, like, we have a rescue dog, and poor little Scruffy, like, even me, and he loves me, but he backs up when you move too quickly towards him. You know, there's a reason for that, right? Whereas nobody has done this, right? And you can see these cats are okay. You don't see any kids misbehaving.
Oh, any cat that gets treated badly is not going to hang around, and is going to let people know.
Right, here's my boundary. Right, but that's just it. Like, you see it, and you see. So credits to the locals, but also credits to the people visiting, and maybe the people that are visiting here with younger kids have given them talks about it, right? Like, there's a difference between a bunch of partiers in Mexico who maybe, don't have their right minds about them, right? To the, hey, we're in Centurion, or we're in Mykonos, right? But I haven't seen any misbehavior from people being mean to animals, because again, that would make me end up in jail.
That'd be a problem. So talking about goods and bads of cruises and misbehavior and all that. So the first night, my husband's playing blackjack.
Oh,
and
this is a good one.
And he's sitting and he talks at a table. He always talks to people.
Okay, he talks to everyone, just for the record.
And he's so he's getting to know people, he's chatting with them. And there is a gentleman at the table who is very impaired, which I haven't seen that. But that is one thing about cruises. If you buy the beverage package, you can
take advantage of it.
People decide to be irresponsible for a week or 10 days or whatever, and this is their choice. You can do that on a cruise. So this man was playing blackjack,
but also the woman was impaired.
Oh yes. So Ray was there. There was two women traveling together, and then this man. And the one woman, I guess the gentleman there was, very
hitting on her.
He was hitting on her, and she had. I guess she was fairly well endowed.
Yes.
And so at one point, she goes up to him and she's like,
she motorboated him
at the table right there. And he's like, I know love when I feel it. And I'm thinking, afterwards they're telling this story, I'm like, honey, that is not what you're feeling.
And you know what? On that note, we're going to say
What do we want more of, Ruth?
We want more happy hours. And what do we want less of, Roxy?
Less bullshit.
Okay, we're going to do lots of videos in Corfu and stuff. And we've got lots of photos. We're going to be putting up lots of blog posts, all of this stuff. But if you want to know more about cruising, ask us. Keep guessing Roxanne's pastry count.
Oh, and come back. I'm gonna have some good news. We gave you a teaser a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
we're gonna
soon.
We'll give you the answer to that.
Things are progressing.
Thanks
So
for joining
we'll talk
us.
to you.
We'll see you again.
Talk to you soon. Okay, bye. Oh, I'm back here. Bye. I got up too quick to turn off the video.
We gotta find the clicker.
Yeah.